It's beginning to feel like deja vu. The traitors gathered in the turret with a heavy dose of awkwardness and mistrust. Who can blame them with Carolyn voting for Danielle and Danielle voting for Rob at the round table in episode 6? This friction was also spilling over into the three of them, struggling to agree on who to murder. For me, it was a question of how much longer could this collective continue to work together in perfect disharmony. No amount of truces were going to repair the mistrust that had been developing since day one. It wasn't just awkward in the turret. At breakfast, there was a lower level of awkwardness between Brittany and Ivar, as they were the first ones in the room. It doesn't seem like Brittany sees any benefit of Ivar still being in this game, describing him as furniture that gets moved from room to room. Either the edit isn't being too kind to Ivar, or he really doesn't give much for them to include him in the final cut. It seems like Ivar is such a non-plus event in the mansion that some don't even see him when he's actually in the room, as we saw with Gabby at breakfast. Like Ivar said, it was lucky Gabby didn't say anything bad. Derek was the latest victim, a big blow for the Faithfuls and another one of Rob's opponents taken out of the game. One of the reasons Rob went after Bob the drag queen was because Rob mentioned one of the new guys being a possible traitor, opening it up to suspicion on all three. Now Rob has got Wes banished and Derek murdered, so it seemed inevitable eyes of suspicion would lead straight back down Rob's road. I thought Derek was the biggest chance for the Faithfuls to actually win. While his deductions about Rob were correct, his suspicions of Brittany were misguided. I think Derek might have eventually figured out one more. Also, part of me thought maybe I was giving Derek too much credit and he wouldn't have identified another one. In my video about the previous episode, I mentioned how we were waiting for Tom to be finally correct about one of his theories. Taking his time to really think about it, Tom has really taken note of what's going on and listened to what Derek presented, voting for Rob in episode 6, and now he is even more convinced that Rob is a traitor, noticing that the previous couple of murders were all people that suspected Rob. We finally got to hear what Sierra was probably going to say at the previous breakfast about Danielle's tears. Yep, she ain't buying it. Though I don't know if she's convinced enough to vote for Danielle. In the mission, Rob told Sierra to close her eyes if she didn't want to see what was being put in the box. A good plan which looked like Dolores was also doing. Unfortunately for her, Chriselle, her partner, couldn't take her eyes off. Her panicking meant she pulled her hand away in 15 seconds, leaving the pair up for murder. This felt more like an episode of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and I don't watch that show for a reason. This mission was challenging for me, and I was just sitting at home watching. I've spoken many times about my aversion to creepy crawlies, and this is not the first time the Traitors universe has tested my eyes. I would not be opening my mouth if all those insects and bugs were being showered down on me. I also wouldn't have lasted long enough to get that far. I can't say I would be better or worse than Chriselle. I wouldn't have looked, but either the initial touch or a phantom one would have me retracting my hand from the box. From the mission, Tom, Dylan, Gabby, Chriselle and Dolores were up for murder that will end up being a face-to-face one. We don't find out who the unlucky Faithful is until the next episode. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I had a feeling Dylan would run straight to Rob with what Derek said to him the previous night. This instantly gave Rob the Faithful he needed to redirect suspicion to in order to take the heat off of him. Brittany was the target, but this wasn't going to be as easy compared to Wes. With the Faithfuls that were left in the game, I was wondering who had the social capital to convince the majority that a particular person was a traitor. On the surface, there seemed to be a lot of followers left in the game. Unlike the previous banishments, this didn't necessarily feel like it would be a foregone conclusion against Brittany, but going into this roundtable, I did not have any confidence in the Faithfuls. Rob, having already had conversations with others about Brittany, tried his now familiar way of commanding the round table in his efforts to have Brittany banished instead of himself. I think there were two main reasons why this wasn't successful outside of the case against Rob. The first was that unlike Wes, Brittany had a better handle of herself at the round table. There was no self-implosion to have votes swing her way because of what she said, though what was shown wasn't the best defending I've seen, but Brittany did enough. The second reason was the connection she made with the other Faithfuls. The majority just didn't see enough to cast a vote for her. 3 out of the 4 people Rob might have been counting on for votes against Brittany didn't vote that way. Dylan once again voted for Gabby, while Chriselle and Dolores voted for Tom. Sierra was the only one, along with Rob, that voted for Brittany. I was surprised that after Gabby voted for Rob before he revealed his role, she whispered to Tom that she thinks he's a faithful. The edit didn't show her reason for her vote, so why did she vote for Rob? With the final count being 7 votes for Rob, the fact that Carolyn and Danielle also voted for him wasn't a decider. In my opinion, I think part of the reason why Danielle voted for Rob again was partially to save Brittany, a big ally for her and potentially someone she may want to recruit. On the surface, it looks like Danielle has put what happened on Big Brother behind her, but has she really? Carolyn must have really wanted Rob gone and seen that at this stage, it would be easier to get him banished over Danielle. With the two of them being the only traitors left, how long until we see Carolyn and Danielle face off again at the round table?